Because of trench warfare, the cavalry weren't used much in the First World War. Here we have the usual leg wraps, the puttees. They're quite a difficult thing to put on. It's not easy, and I don't know for sure, but I could imagine if you put them on too tight, they could stop the circulation in your legs. It's a bit of a weird item altogether. And then going up, the cavalry would always wear breeches. These are not British breeches. These are actually Second World War Japanese winter trousers. The Japanese always wore breeches, but they're exactly the same woolen material, the same colour as the British uniform, so that's why I've chosen those. And then the cavalry, you always associate cavalry with a sword. This is the sword, but they also use the lance and also a rifle. At the end of the white lanyard in the pocket would be a special tool for cleaning out the horse's hooves. And then around the shoulder, the brown leather bandolier, that was for ammunition for the rifle. They used the SMLE rifle, the same as all the ordinary infantry. And this uniform's badged up to the 16th Lancers. They have badges on the collars, then going up, a badge on the cap as well. And the cap, that's had a stiffened top and a stiffened peak, which they used throughout the war. The other piece of equipment the cavalry carried was the water canteen. This is the blue enamelled water canteen, just the same as the army would have used, but they had a different cradle and a different strap to carry it. Now this tunic and the cap was made after the First World War. It's what's known as a 22 pattern. It's almost identical, but the price of one of these is about, you can buy one, a really good one, for about £150, but if you want to buy an original First World War tunic, it costs you over £1,000, so it's way out of my reach. So they look almost identical, so that's why I've used that. And during the First World War, the British sent out over 1 million horses and mules to France and Belgium. They weren't just used for the cavalry, they were used for towing artillery and bringing up supplies. And by the end of the war, over nearly 500,000 horses were killed. And when the war was finished, they didn't bring any horses home. They were either destroyed or sold to French and Belgian farmers to work in the fields, or sold for horse meat. Not a very fitting end for a hard-working animal like that. It just wasn't fair, really. This is a basic saddle for the British cavalry in the First World War. Across the front on the left hand side there, that's the pair of pouches there for carrying some of the bits and pieces of equipment. Then you've got the sword attached to a leather case, and inside the leather case is a spare horseshoe. Then you've got a rolled up blanket on the back, and on top of the blanket I've put the mess tin. It's a different mess tin than the army would have had. They have their own special mess tin. I got this particular saddle from Marlowe's Military Auctions in Stafford a few years ago, and the label attached to it shows that it's what's known as a sealed pattern. The British Army they took every item they had, saddles, ammunition pouches, helmets, they'd take a sample of each one, put it away into storage, and then in the future, if they ever needed to make any new ones or any more of them, they'd take the item out, check it over, take the measurements, see where all the fittings were, and use it as a blueprint for making more. This saddle was put away in 2nd of June 1918. I think it's brand new. I don't think it's ever been used, and it would have been put away in storage and never used. And then it's got a later date of 1972 when it's been brought out again. Don't know whether they brought out to make some more in 1972 or what, but that's it. As I mentioned earlier, the cavalry not only used swords, but they used lances and rifles as well. The holder The leather holder for the rifle, that's called a rifle bucket. That would always be on the right hand side, and the sword would be on the left hand side. And that's the pouch on the front there, that's the double pouch for storing all their personal bits of equipment. I've also got loads of other equipment for the saddle. This is a part of the harness, that's the bit. And the reins. I think that's the halter, I think, I'm not sure. Then if you noticed, the troopers had an ammunition bandolier around the shoulders. Well, the horse had one, the same, only this is got 9 pouches. That went round the horse's neck, so the soldier could have more ammunition. Then we've got a canvas water bucket. It's waterproof, so they'd give the horse a drink with that one. And also, I did mention before how the cavalry did carry lances. Well, that fastens somewhere on the stirrup, and then the bottom of the lance goes in there to hold it in place while they're riding along. And I've got another complete harness set here with a bit. Now that's more for out in the Middle East when it's very hot. That went across the horse's forehead, and that was to keep the flies from going in the horse's eyes. So all I need now is somebody with a horse to show me how to put it all together. You know, like, where's Cody and Steve when you need them? Well, actually they're 10,000 miles away in Australia, but never mind. Maybe one day he'll come over and show me how it's all put together.